Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. From First Paw Media, sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company, this is the Dog Driver Show. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert Forto and Kourosh Partow.
Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Robert Forto, and I'm here with my co-host KP. KP and I are back at it here on the Dog Driver Show. Who do we have today?
Today we have a very interesting lady from all the way from Wyoming, actually, lower 48, Alix Crittenden. She's been racing dogs for a while, and I've met her actually a couple of times in Alaska when she was here with her dog team. Very, very impressive dog team. She spends a lot of time with the dogs and has a touring business actually also in the lower 48. Alix, welcome to the show. And for our listeners, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Like you said, I'm Alix. I live down in Wyoming. We're just outside of Jackson Hole. We have about 180 dog kennel here that is owned by Frank Teasley, and we do about 20 people a day on sled dog tours, and we go up to hot springs, which is really neat. They get a soak in the hot springs and have lunch and then come back down all with the dog team. So that's a pretty unique experience. And then we also have about 30 dogs in our racing program, not including puppies. And it's kind of an awesome program because we have the nursery with the babies, and then the training program, the racing program, and then the retirement program ends up being the tours. So the dogs have a job their whole entire life here with us, which is kind of special to us and kind of one of the things that we're mostly proud of.
Alix, so you're talking about quite a bit of dogs compared to the normal kennels that we talk to usually. Do you take care of all of the dogs, the touring dogs, and your canine athletes just for yourself, or you have helpers too?
So in the summer, it's me and my handler, Jess, that's been handling for me for the last couple years. Just us with all the dogs the whole summer, so that's kind of a lot, but it's nice. We get a lot of time out in the dog yard and time to kind of connect with all of the dogs, not just our racing athletes. And then in the winter, we hire a crew of 6 guides. We also have an office person, a kitchen manager, and yeah, I think that's everybody. And we have van drivers that bring our people out to come on the tours with us. And so, yeah, it's quite the operation. It's very, very busy around here, especially this time of year coming into the holidays and all of that. We've actually been running tours quite early this year, earliest I remember in the last 10 years of being here. We started before Thanksgiving, and we've been fully booked every day just about since then, and it seems like we are fully booked every day in the future. So it's kind of crazy around here right now.
That is fantastic. So as a dog driver, how difficult it is, Alix, to change your competitive dog driver cap to the tour guide cap on a snap of finger?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky in that we're able to hire a crew. I actually don't have to take any tours. It's very rare that I actually have to go out on tour. My position is more of managing the crew and teaching everybody how to drive a dog team. A lot of these kids that come to work for us have never even interacted with a sled dog team before. So we have to teach them everything from the ground up, how to feed, because they're basically given 25 dogs for the winter that are theirs to use and take care of. So we teach them how to feed, how to harness, how to check feet, all health stuff that they need to do with the dogs, pretty much everything they do on their own with us as support. And so this year I'm kind of that manager of those people and the support crew for those people.
Fantastic. Alix, as I know, but not all our listeners, you have a very competitive team, and you take him to the stage race in Wyoming, the pedigree, and also some of the races up north. How do you organize your training around the tour business?
That's a good question, and actually that's kind of one of the most challenging parts of what I do. As Frank, my boss, likes to say, the tours come first. That's what pays for what I get to go out and do. And so that has to be a priority for me as well. So juggling that has definitely become an art. I'm getting better at it, I think. But yeah, like a lot of times I'll train. My first team will be going out at sunrise or right before sunrise so that we can be back, help organize getting the tours out. They go out around between 9 and 10 o'clock. And then as soon as we get tours out, I'll come back, quickly hook up a team and jump out and go out for another run. We weren't able to do that this morning because it was about 20 below at sunrise today. So we decided to hold off, and hopefully we'll get another team out after I finish this interview with you guys.
Very good. And how do you schedule trips up north to Alaska, for example?
So by the time I'm looking to travel, and by the time our race season really gets busy, the kids here pretty much have everything handled, and they don't really need me anymore. Plus, we have Frank, and our office person is usually jumping in by that point and kind of helping with the dog stuff. And so I can kind of scoot out of here for a few weeks, and they can handle everything while I'm gone. And, the way communications are these days, I'm just at the end of the phone, so if they do need me, they can get a hold of me. But for the most part, by then, they pretty much got it licked. They can take care of it all.
Now, let's talk about racing and preparing your dog team for the major events of the year. What are your goals this year, Alex?
My goals this year are, just to race, actually. That seems to be a bit of a challenge that's happening this year. So, we're just prepping as though it was a normal year and there wasn't all this craziness and travel bans and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Of course, I want to win the stage shop. That's my number one goal, and that's what I plan to do this year. My team is really rocking and rolling. I have a lot of good young dogs that are coming into the team that I think are going to be, really awesome. The last few years I've come into training feeling like I could use a couple more really good dogs on the A team, and this year it feels like the A team is solid, and I actually have dogs in my B team that flip back and forth. So I feel like I've got the strongest team I've ever had. So yeah, hopefully we get to go somewhere and show them off.
That would be awesome to watch them. And you talked about your A team and a B team, about your dogs. What are the bloodlines behind the dogs that you're running in the stage race?
So we have a lot of streeper dogs. When I first came onto Frank's program, we kind of did a major overhaul of his racing team and the lines and stuff that we wanted to move forward with. The stage stop changed significantly right about the time that I started racing here for Frank. So we really kind of analyzed the dogs that we had and what they could do and what they were capable of and where we wanted to go from there. So we bought quite a few dogs from the streeper kennels, and then we have some dogs that were bred here that ended up making the cut as well. So we have some Saunderson lines in there, some Ed Eaton. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. I think that was before my time a bit, I think. But, real husky dogs is what came from him, so it's kind of interesting to see those guys kind of mixed in with the streeper stuff. And let's see what else we have. I think we have we do have a Mallow Revet dog. He's not in the team, but he fathered several of the dogs that are in my team currently. So, yeah, it's pretty good mix, but I'd say mostly streeper lines.
When you were in Alaska, Alex, I recall when you ran Rendezvous, your dogs are more husky-looking than the houndies that you see in some of the other teams, like mine, for example. Why do you select more of a husky line for your races in your environment out there?
Well, I'll be honest with you. A few of the huskier lines were a bit of an accident. We had some dogs get loose in the kennel and things happened, and the streeper girls were quite receptive. So we ended up with some husky dogs that we hadn't really planned on. But I'll tell you what, I really like the way it's working out. I think, Terry Streeper always used to tell me that a lot more of it he thought was the training than so much the breeding. I mean, the breeding's a big part of it, of course, but if you train a dog properly to do what you want it to do and you run it that way all the time, then it should be ready to roll, right? So we kind of just went at it with that attitude, and it's been kind of amazing to see dogs that I thought, that were born looking like Christmas Huskies that you would get in a package, on Christmas Day. And I thought, oh, that dog's never going to be able to run 16, 17 miles per hour. And, free running and just, keep trying with them. And they're doing it, and some of them are quite big dogs. So that was surprising as well. But it's just been really interesting to see how much the training is important. Everybody talks about lines and all of this stuff, and I think Terry's right in that the training is an even bigger part of it than the breeding.
Last couple years when you were doing your stage races, and I follow the race remotely from Alaska. You prepare your dog team for there, and then you came to Alaska, and you're running a race which is completely different, like Rendezvous or ONAC. How do you transition your pace, your speed, and your mental, basically, preparation between a slower pace stage race and to a super sprint like ONAC or Rendezvous?
Yeah, that was a huge learning curve for me. I didn't know anything about running that fast when I first went up to Alaska, and it was hard for me to wrap my head around. But I think running stage stop makes your dog so tough, and it's a slower pace. But if you, after the stage stop, really take care of them, kind of help them bounce back from that tough race, and then let them go have fun and do some really short, faster runs, and just kind of gradually increase how fast you're allowing them to go. And I think they just go, oh man, like this is so much fun. We're not running in the hills, it's flat, we have a great trail, there's no deep snow, and we're going a little bit shorter. Like, this is easy, let's do it, I do think that we do struggle a bit, matching those super fast speeds. I don't know that I'll ever see my team do 20 or 21 miles an hour like some of you guys up there do, but we'll keep trying. Maybe one day we'll get there. And, but I just think slowly letting them kind of get going a little bit faster, and then they just do it.
Alex, I wanted to ask you, as you know, a lot of our listeners are just dog lovers. They are not dog drivers. So tell us a little bit about this stage stop race and how it is done and how you prepare for it and what do you do, actually, during this race?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question because I always tell people that the stage stop is its own monster. People think about coming to run it and they ask me to compare it to this race or that race, and it's like, well, it's really nothing like any of those races. It's completely different than anything you've ever done. So every day we are running on a different track. So it's a multiple day race, 6 to 7 days, I think, and every day we travel to a different town and we run on a different trail. And the trails range anywhere from, I think, 28 or 26 is our shortest, up to 35 or 37 is our longest. And so, it's quite challenging, not just because of the terrain and the hills and the mountains and the different tracks. You never know what's coming next, but also the traveling. I mean, you have to manage dog care around that, feeding your dogs around that. Lots of banquets are usually involved. I'm not sure how that's going to go this year, but usually every night we're having dinner in each town with the community members and the volunteers that help make the race happen in each town. So you have a lot of things to juggle there. And like you said, putting on a face and switching from competitive dog driver to a people person and telling people about our sport and about what we do. And so it's quite crazy and pretty exhausting for most people. Help is definitely required. Handlers can make or break you in that race, in my opinion. My dad comes out every year and drives the truck for me so that I can sleep in the truck because otherwise I'm not sure when I would sleep. But it's an amazing race. I highly recommend anyone who's thinking about it to come give it a try. Like I said, it definitely makes your dogs tougher, and it kind of changes the way you look at your dog team, I think. It makes you understand how much more they have to give you and how much more they are capable of if you only just ask them for it. So I think it's a pretty special event for sure.
You living in Wyoming, obviously pretty close to the stage stop race. Do you train in the mountains the same way as this race is organized?
Yeah, actually, over the past years, that's been my only complaint about my program, and I'm constantly trying to think, how can I be better? How can I be better? And, we kind of are stuck training in the mountains, and lots of people really like training on the flats and on really great trails, and there's days where we get out there and we're like, well, this trail is really deep in snow, it hasn't been groomed, we're going to turn around and go home and try again another day, because you just don't want the dogs to get geared down too much, because it's a slower pace race than onto your own neck, but it's still moving, especially when you're talking about 2,000 and 3,000 foot elevation gains and within 30 miles. Yeah, we do train in the mountains, and it's a challenge. This year has actually been amazing. We got snow early, and it's been cold, and the trail is hard and fast, and we're having so much fun. The dogs are really loving it, and they're eating up the hills. But I think it also has made our team more versatile. I cry about it. I cry about having to climb the mountains all the time, every time we train, but I think it's made our team, tougher and more versatile. They can do a lot of different things, which I think is really exciting.
And how many miles would you like to have on your training program before you hit the mountains for the race?
We usually try to train up to 30 miles, or we might do 132, maybe 232s, but usually right around 30 miles is where we go to. And we do about anywhere from 5 to 3 of each mileage bump. So right now we're running 18 and a half miles, and we got 2 of those on. We'll probably do 1 more, and then we'll bump up to 20 miles. And, then go from there. I think we're just a little bit over halfway to where I want to be before we race.
That's beautiful. My kennel partner, Ken Chizik, is planning to do this race for the first time, coming from flat land of Michigan. What do you have as advice as a pro for this stage stop?
Yeah, I'm so excited that he's coming. I've been trying to get lots of you guys to come this way and run this race. As far as advice, don't have a plan, because it's going to change. And, be open, because your dogs are going to surprise the heck out of you. Dogs that you're going to think, oh, I don't know, this dog might not do so good. They might end up running every single day of the race. Dog care is so important. Look at your feet, do your massages, talk to the vets, use those tools that this race gives you, because I think that's really special too. And have fun, it's a blast. It's a whirlwind week, and at the end of it, you'll feel like you could race forever. You'll be like, we could just race every day for the rest of the season.
Alex, I have a couple of questions for you. I believe when I was reading your bio that you lived in North Carolina for a while. Is that right?
Yep, that's where I grew up.
My family's from North Carolina. I lived there when I was in middle school. I have to ask, what brings a gal from North Carolina to dog mushing?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing. If somebody had told me 15 years ago I'd be running dogs and riding horses for a living, I would have laughed in their face. I don't know. I just got a wild hair in college and decided I wanted to come out. I grew up riding horses in North Carolina and decided I wanted to come out and work on a ranch. So I did that for a summer, went back and finished school, and decided I wanted to do another summer. And by then I was like, well, I have this accounting degree, but that's not really what I want to do anymore. So I Googled dog sledding, and don't ask me why that's what I thought I wanted to do or why I typed that into Google, but the first place that came up was Frank Teasley's kennel here at Jackson Hole Iditarod, and I gave him a call and said, hey, I don't know anything about dogs or snow, but I'm a hard worker. Can you give me a job? And so that November, here I was, and the rest is history, as they say. I've been broke and addicted ever since.
That sounds like a lot of us, for sure. So, Alex, my next question is the question I ask all of our guests, and that is, and you sort of alluded to it already, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say. That is, if somebody is just getting involved in the sport, whether they're, like you, just, fresh with it, or they want to run Iditarod or Rondi someday, what would you tell them if you could offer them one piece of advice?
I would tell them to find a millionaire and marry him. No, I would say just be prepared to work so hard, because I had no idea, when I first got into this, how involved and how personal of a piece of your life it becomes. And you're gonna be stuck doing it if you get into it. It's really hard to get away from. Like, be prepared to work your butt off, because you're gonna fall in love with not just the dogs, but with the people of the sport and with the whole culture of the sport. And that's gonna be it. That's what you're gonna do. So, yeah, saddle up and hang on.
Very good. KP, anything else for Alix?
No, actually, something else that I wanted to ask, it's in her bio, is you're also an outfitter. You're a cowgirl, and you outfit hunts. Tell me a little bit about that. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so my husband, who I actually met at the local bar here when I first moved up to run dogs, his family owned an outfitting business, and we do guided horseback rides, so just day trips, and then also overnight pack trips in the summer, and then in the fall we offer guided hunting trips. So we do hunts for elk, mule deer, moose, antelope, bear, pretty much everything that you can hunt in Wyoming legally, we guide hunts for. So that's pretty fun. It's a totally different part of my life. About the time I'm kind of like, oh, this dog thing is wearing me out, then it's time to do horses. And about the time I'm like, oh, this horse thing is wearing me out, it's time to do dogs again. So it's quite a nice mix-up. And, a lot of things kind of go hand in hand between the dogs and the horses. There's a lot of good comparisons and things that go in both areas. So it's kind of fun to cross-compare and talk dogs and horses at the same time. So, yeah, it's good. It's a good life. It's busy. We spend a lot of time outside and with our animals, and we really couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, actually, what you say is completely true. I heard horses and dogs. A lot of our actually guests, they had animals and horses before the dogs or after the dogs or during the dogs, that they have animal husbandry is probably the same for both side of this. Alix, I wanted to thank you for the time you spent with us. I know you're super busy with your training, your tour programs, and all of that. Looking forward to follow your results and your race during the stage race, and really, really looking forward to have you back in Alaska and burning trails on our super sprint trails and to race us. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me, and thanks for this show that you guys do. It's so awesome to have a mushing show that we can all look up and listen to, and that brings new people to our sport and helps people learn about our sport. I think that's amazing. Thank you guys very much.
On behalf of our co-host and guest today, this is Robert for the Dog Driver Show. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
From First Paw Media, this is the Dog Driver Show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you can see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert Forto and Kourosh Partow. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media.